Okay, in this video we're going to be starting the Word Unit B, editing documents. Some of the objectives that we're going to be covering over throughout these series of videos for Word Unit B is going to be to cut and paste, copy and paste, using the Office Clipboard, finding and replacing text, checking spelling and grammar, research information, add hyperlinks, and to prepare a document for distribution. Now this file that you see on the screen right now, this is going to be coming from the course sites content area for Word B on there. This is going to be for the walkthrough for Word B, and the file's name is going to be WDB1. You need to download that file that way so you can have it available, and it should look like this when you open it up. We're going to be starting in on page Word 26 today, so if you want to take a look at your textbook and open it up to page Word 26. The editing features in Word allows you to move text from one location to another in a document. The operation of moving text is typically called cut and paste. Whenever you cut text, it's actually removed from the document and placed on the clipboard. Now, it's not only placed on just one clipboard, it's actually placed on two clipboards because the clipboard is a temporary storage area for your text, graphics, and anything else that you cut. When you usually cut something, it's going to go both onto your Office clipboard in addition to what we call the system clipboard. And the system clipboard can only hold one item. Now if we take a look up here at our clipboard launcher, up here in the clipboard group, and we go to the launcher, we notice that, of course, our clipboard is empty. And there are several different items that we can actually input in on the clipboard. And we'll be taking a look at those and getting some more details about that a little bit later on. But we're going to start off with page Word 26, and what we're going to do is that hopefully you should have this opened. If you downloaded this and then clicked on the lower left-hand side of your web browser to open up this file, this is what it should look like, and that's going to be, step one for us. It's going to be a little bit different than the textbook on there. Step 2 tells us that we're going to click the Office button, and when we click on the Office button, we're going to click on Save As. And from here, we're going to save this file, and we're going to call this Wonderlust PR. And we're going to save it into the My Documents. Or if you'd like to save this on your home directory, you may do that as well. Notice that the file name has changed on there. And remember, that is the difference between save and save as. Save, when you use it, it saves the changes that you make to the file, overwriting the current file that's stored on the disk. When you use the Save As command, that's when you want to leave the original file intact and create a duplicate file with a different file name. Now, also in this section, we're going to be taking a look at what's called dragging and dropping, and that's when you select text and you can click and drag it to a different area. We'll be taking a look at that here as well. Step 3 tells us that we're going to replace Ron Dawson with your name on there. It says click replace Ron Dawson with your name. Scroll down until the headline Catherine Quas to speak is at the top of your document window, and then we're going to display the Show Hide button in the paragraph group to show or to display our formatting marks. So the first thing we're going to do is here, we're underneath the Contact Ron Dawson, we're going to switch that up to your name. So here I type my name in there. Then it tells me I need to scroll down till this headline, Catherine Quas to speak at QST. We want that to be all the way at the top of our screen. Then in the paragraph group, we're going to click on the formatting marks up here. And the formatting marks, once again, is an excellent tool just to be able to know how many spaces there are between something whenever you hit enter on something on there as well. Step 4 tells us that we want to select Alaskan Guide Gilbert Coonan, including the comma and the space after it in the third paragraph. So here we go, we have 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, and down here is Alaskan Guide Gilbert Coonan. You want to choose that and the space right after it, so that period, or not period, but the little dot right there should be selected. Once we have that, we want to click on the Cut button. Now that Cut button is up here in the clipboard group. And it looks like it has a little pair of scissors. Most of these actions you can always tell is going to occur when you would actually do that in real life. So cut, you know, typically if this was just a piece of paper and you want to remove that, you would take a pair of scissors and just cut it out. Now once we do that, the text is removed from the document and placed into the clipboard. And as I said before, it actually goes into two different clipboards on there. The first one is the system clipboard, which holds just one item. The second one, and this is primarily where we're going to be using it at, is the office clipboard, which can actually hold up to 24 items. Now, if you would add on a 25th item, then the oldest item, or item number 1, would be deleted. So it always goes from the oldest gets deleted first on there. Now, the last item that you cut or copy is always added to both clipboards. And we'll learn a little bit more about the office clipboard later on in this lesson. Step 5 tells us we want to place the insertion point before Serengeti, but after the space in the first line of the third paragraph. So here we are in the third paragraph here, and there's Serengeti. So it tells us we want to place the insertion point before this, but after the space. So you're going to have to look right up here and get it right after that dot right there, which indicates a space. Then we want to click on the paste button up here in the clipboard group. Notice when we click on that, it took the information that we cut from the bottom line and moved it up to the top on there. And that is typically what we call cutting and pasting. Now there is a paste options button whenever you do paste something that's on there that appears below the text when you first paste it into the document. We'll take a look at some of those more information about the paste options button a little bit later on. Of course, you can also paste that text by right-clicking where you want the text to be located at, and then clicking on paste on the shortcut menu that appears. So if I would just right-click, notice that there's a paste option right there as well. Step 6 tells us we're going to press and hold our control key and then click the sentence, ticket prices include lunch, in the fourth paragraph. So down here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we go at the very last line on there, ticket prices include lunch. If I press and hold my control key and click on it, notice it selects the entire sentence. Then now I'm going to release my control key, and that allows me to select the entire sentence. Step 7 tells me that I need to press and hold the mouse button over the selected text until it turns into a pointer with a little box. Okay, so once we just click on this and hold on this until it turns into an arrow with a little square or a little rectangular object underneath it there. And what that is allowing us to do is that pointer's vertical line is going to allow us to move this to indicate where we're going to move this at in the document when we drag this around. Step 8 tells us we're going to drag this while we still have this selected here like this, the vertical line to the end of the 5th paragraph between the period and the paragraph mark. So we're just going to go one right down here, and we're going to put it right after the period, or between the period and the paragraph mark. So it's going to be right in between the period and that paragraph mark right there. When we release the mouse button, notice the text move down. That is what we call drag and drop. That is another way of selecting text and moving it to a different location in the document. Now in this case, the clipboard this text is not placed on the clipboard when you move it using the drag and drop method. Step 9 on there, just deselect the text, just click somewhere else, and whenever it mentions deselect, you just want to click somewhere else in the document. That deselects the text and it's not highlighted anymore. And then we're going to click on the Save button up here on the Quick Access toolbar. Now one little thing I'll just mention on here, if you take a look on page Word 27, there is a little yellow section talking about using keyboard shortcuts. And for some people, they may be very familiar with using keyboard shortcuts. Because some people are very common, with just keeping their hands on the keys and not having to move their mouse. But keyboard shortcuts are very similar. If we're using for the cut, copy, and paste, there are actually 3 keys that are right next to each other. Whenever you press the Control and X key, just imagine the X as a pair of scissors, and that's used to cut. The Control C is used to copy text, and Control V is used to paste the text. And there's a lot of these different combinations that's out there. Sometimes there might be a function key like your F1, or there may be a combination things like Control S, that's used to save changes in a document instead of clicking on the little disk. You'll become more familiar with those as time goes on. So that ends for this video right here. Keep your document open and you can start the next video.